Welcome to another edition of the Willy Bragg Show. Today on April 15th, Tax Day. Welcome to another edition of the Willy Bragg Show. I'm your host, Willy Bragg, and this is Saturday, where the Willy Bragg Show is in partnership with Cabro's News Group, KRTD Media, whereby both KRTD Media and the Willy Bragg Show are working side by side. Doing our promoting each other. They promote me, I promote them, and that's how it works to promote independent media, because that's how it works these days with the way that we're being shadow banned in independent media throughout the left and the progressive movement in year 2023. It's been going on for the last couple of years like that. So excuse me, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit late. I worked late last night to early this morning, and I slept all day, and I had to eat. So I'm a little. That's why I'm a little bit late here. So, but I'm here now. So I'll just say before we get started to hit that like button either on my channel or on the KRTD Media channel. Hit the like button, subscribe on my channel and on KRTD's media channel. Hit the like button. Hit the notification bell, all that, and subscribe to and follow in all the following platforms we're on: Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, whatever, all the platforms that's available out there, and by doing so, once again, you are supporting independent media. So, and every 15 minutes, I am going to bring this out, that we have what is called super chats. So anything that you can donate to KRTD Media is appreciative to help promote their work. So there you have it. And I hope everybody's doing well today. And again, I apologize for being late. Okay, so let's start with the very first story. Well, before I do, I am going to dedicate, in a weird way, not so weird, but today I am going to more or less dedicate this program, because I'm going to be discussing Julian Assange from time to time throughout this program. So I'm going to be dedicating this program to Julian Assange, because this week marked the 4th anniversary of his arrest, and whereby he is in Great Britain's version of Guantanamo Bay, Belmarsh Prison, where he is being slowly dying at this point. And frankly, that's what they want to see happen to him, in my view. So that's what's going on right there. So let's hope that one day that Julian Assange becomes a free man, and put an end to this nonsense of jailing journalists who are doing their freaking job. Okay. So I discussed this on my channel earlier this week. So, and I'm going to go ahead and discuss it some more, because there's a little bit more to it. You saw Kid Rock get all snowflakey and turn into a little wuss over for what? For Dylan Mulvaney doing this commercial on Budweiser, Bud Light. Apparently, that upset a lot of right-wingers. The fact that she's promoting Bud Light, and that the Bud Light decided to go, Budweiser decided to put her face on the can, whereby she's celebrating or just celebrated her first anniversary of official womanhood. In cruder terms, the sex change. So there you have it, and people are getting upset over this. And if you watch the commercial, There's nothing about the commercial that's even the least bit controversial or anything. If anything, it's campy and all that. You talk to my parents, who are around in their 80s, who are not exactly the most liberal progressive types, on these issues. Good people, but they're of the old school mindset, and if they're not upset over Dylan Mulvaney, of all people, there is no reason why Kid Rock should be upset or anything like that. And as I said, my parents are not about the type. They're not the type that they're going to go around waving a rainbow flag. Okay, that's my point. So, and they weren't like, "Oh my goodness, what's going on here?" If they're not doing that, then you know people just need to just cool it with the outrage and being triggered and being snowflakey. But it's really funny that the right wing in this country, and I, here's the thing. Um, I mean, I make it clear. I am an unrepentant leftist. It's what I am. It's what I do. It's what I promote. And I mean, and because I mean, I believe that the left is heavily underrepresented in the United States. And I think that the lack of left wing policies is why we can't have nice things in this country. And so I am tribalistic, and I am very protective of my own, the left. And I want to see what I believe are left policies prevail. And I would like to see an end to what is called the Reagan consensus. From the time of Roosevelt all the way till the election of 1980, there was more or less what you call the FDR New Deal consensus, where the Democrats, for better or worse, and the Republicans who reluctantly went along with what you call the FDR New Deal consensus. Well, since 1980, it turned around and it became the Reagan Revolution. And I will argue that in the year 2023, we're still living under the Reagan Revolution. And whereas you have the Republicans parading the Reagan Revolution today still on crack, even though they purport to be populist and for the working man and woman, they're not. I got all kinds of reasons why I'm ready to explain that in a few moments. But you have the Democrats who basically are the second fiddler to the Republicans, and they go and put up a good song and dance on why they're so different from the Republicans. But usually when they govern, they don't really govern all that different from the Republicans, other than maybe a milder version of it. Sort of the same way as like Thatcher, when Thatcher was the prime minister, and then when she stepped down and eventually Tony Blair became prime minister, he pretty much continued the Thatcher revolution. And so just there is a saying, the more things change, the more things remain the same. So as a leftist, I feel compelled to try to promote leftist policies and leftist values and the leftist movement and a leftist point of view. Well, the right act like they're the biggest victims in the world. And here is an example of where the right where they're acting like snowflakes over Dylan Mulvaney's Budweiser ad. Here, I'm going to play it, okay? And I have so much to say about it afterwards. So give me a moment and we'll get started. Hold on. Well, no. I'm going to get an ad. I had an ad blocker, folks. I'm going to fix that eventually. there is so much wrong with that commercial because when you watch that commercial, that little ad, for starters, he ended up talking about tastes like freedom. So it's amazing that they talk about freedom when these right wingers are all about taking away people's freedoms. And so, what freedom is he wanting to take away? The right of a trans person to exist. He's upset that a trans woman, Dylan Mulvaney, is advertising for Bud Light. And then he says, stay the blank away from the children. Where the heck were the children in the Bud Light commercial in that Dylan Mulvaney was promoting with, where was the so-called grooming taking place? There was nothing about children in the commercial. There was nothing about children. There was nothing about grooming. There was nothing about pedophilia. He's just making the de facto assumption that they're all a bunch of groomers and perverts and everything. Now, it's funny that they'll do this. And I don't want to make it all about Democrats and Republicans. I really don't, because I have a lot of problems with the Democratic Party. I do. I'm not a Democrat. But while I'm not a Democrat, I sure as heck fire am not a Republican either. And usually when these people say Democrats, Democrat Party, Democrat this and Democrat that, and I say this as somebody who is a strong independent, when they say these things, they really mean the left. They mean anybody who is not Ben Shapiro, who's spewing out 1993 Rush Limbaugh talking points, or somebody who's not spewing out Ben Shapiro talking points, or Michael Knowles talking points, or Matt Walsh talking points, or Glenn Beck talking points, or Sean Hannity talking points, or what have you, or Candace Owens, or whatever moron out there on the right, that's the flavor of the moment, spewing out the nonsense that they spew out. That's what they mean. And they do mean moronic figures like your CNN hosts and your MSNBC hosts. And they do mean moronic Democrats like Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and that sort. But they also mean the left. And the left, inside the Democratic Party and outside the Democratic Party. For better or worse, they do mean the squad. They also mean Bernie, but they also mean Jill Stein, and they mean the Ralph Nader types. They mean the Kashama Sawants. They mean anybody who dares challenge their narratives. Anybody who isn't them. Anybody who's to the left of Ron DeSantis, in other words. Anybody who's to the left of Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene is not one of them. So that's the problem I have with when I hear these people talking about Democrat this and Democrat that, and it's a talking point by the right I do not respect. But that one guy, Seth Weathers, who worked on the Trump campaign in Georgia, he said that so arrogantly, and he's. Well, here's the thing. Anybody who buys that ultra-right woke beer, they're going to be moronic for it. They're going to be paying way more. If they're drinking Bud Light, they're going to be paying way more for this ultra-right beer to supposedly own the libs. And for what? For it to taste just as much like piss, the way that the Bud Light and some of the other, poor quality domestic beers in this country taste. I mean, there are things you can go and criticize the Bud Light or Nike over. Not Kaepernick, Colin Kaepernick. I cannot pronounce his name, but you know who I'm talking about. Kaepernick. Anyway. The football guy, I'm not into sports, you can obviously tell. Kaepernick. Anyway, the guy who bent the knee during the national anthem. Now, bending the knee toward the national anthem is not a disrespectful act. They decided it was a disrespectful act because they wanted to make a culture war out of it. There are things you can criticize Nike over. Treatment of workers. Say the same thing about Budweiser. You could say the same thing about any other corporation. It's funny that when the right wants to boycott a corporation, it's not for the mistreatment of workers. It's because they do something that doesn't cost any money public relations wise. And they'll do something like get rid of, like I may get in a little trouble for this, but in the wake of what happened 3 years ago with regard to the protests and George Floyd and all that when Aunt Jemima became Pearl Milling Company and they got rid of the logo and everything, I now I understand getting rid of the original logo in '89. That was a very negative stereotype of what they perceive an African American woman to be, but she was replaced by obviously a very upper middle class woman of color that was on the label for Aunt Jemima. So it was an updated, more with the times public image, and that was fine. But I didn't think they needed to necessarily. I mean, I'm not going to go lose sleep over it, and I'm not going to sound like Ben Stein that wanted to go and buy up all the syrup bottles and basically just put the Pearl Milling Company syrup into the empty bottles of Aunt Jemima pancakes syrup bottles and pour that into the pancakes. I mean, I'm thinking, what the heck is that about? But what I'm getting at is that we're talking about political correctness across the board and people pearl clutching and people being woke. But you can be woke on the right. And Seth Wetters was being woke on the right because he was being a snowflake. He was being politically correct. He was being, he was engaging in council culture. The things that they accused the left of doing. And why is it that the left gets to be accused of political correctness and get to be accused of council culture? And I say this all the time. Why is it that they get accused of these things and get accused of trying to censor people? But it was the right that's been the crusaders and the inventors of these things and still practice these things while they claim to be against these things. And I've actually had people tell me, hey, I never known conservatives to practice council culture. They invented it. They invented council culture. They were the Elvis Presley, Beatles, and Stones of counterculture. No disrespect toward the Beatles, Elvis Presley, or the Stones, but you get what I'm trying to say. They were the OG of council culture. Not every conservative, not every right-leaning person. I want to make that also clarification because individuals are individuals. I don't go around telling people that everybody on the other side is like that, but the other side or many folks on the other side will like to go and say, well, everybody on the other side is like that. Just like Marjorie Taylor Greene telling everybody that the Democratic Party is filled with pedophiles. And then what happens? You get all kinds of Republicans that get caught with kids. She buys stocks for Disney while accusing Disney of grooming kids. Governor DeSantis declared war on Disney while it was discovered that he got married at Disney. So it's just kind of crazy, and people, I wish that people would just start calling these people out more and then, and just start doing a better job on calling people out. But let's talk about the hypocrisy. 20 years ago, And I can't believe we're talking about 2003. 2003, 20 years ago. George W. Bush, the Iraq War, crimes against humanity right there being committed. Okay, there was some mild criticisms by the Dixie Chicks, a female country pop group. I'm not into country music, but they obviously have a progressive orientation, and they were critical of George W. Bush. And what happened? The right wing at that time went nuts. They were denounced the Dixie Chicks, and they started boycotting and everything. And they started advocating for people to sever ties with the Dixie Chicks and not have anything to do with them. Well, again, I don't really listen to the Dixie Chicks, but I was like, okay, I respect the Dixie Chicks for what they did right there. So, fast forward to the year 2013, I believe it was about this time a decade ago. The CEO of Chick-fil-A said that he didn't believe in same-sex marriage. Now, what happened? The LGBTQ community and their progressive allies went and engaged in a boycott. The right wing accused them of being for censorship. Well, I told one of these folks online a decade ago, well, what about the time when you people were trying to boycott the Dixie Chicks when they criticized George W. Bush? And this one individual literally told me it was okay when the right wing were boycotting the Dixie Chicks, but the gay and lesbian activists and then their liberal allies have no right whatsoever to boycott the Chick-fil-A. And I personally think in half the time boycotts are stupid, depending on the issue. Sometimes they're useful, sometimes they're not. Sometimes it's just one big virtue signal. But I said that, personally, I mean, I don't care what his position is on the issue. What I care about is if actual rights are being taken away from the LGBTQ community, that's what I'm concerned about. I really don't care about what that man's personal position is. But if you're going to go and say it's not okay to boycott the Chick-fil-A, then it shouldn't be okay to boycott the Dixie Chicks either. And he called me a libtard. So there you have it. But the point is that the right wing will literally they'll tell you that when they do it, it's okay. But when the left are engaging in boycotts, it's censorship. And actually boycotts are a form of free speech, no matter which side are doing it. It just sometimes boycotts, depending on how it's packaged, can be considered. It can be kind of goofy. So anyway, I just wanted to address that and all. So now let's go into kind of it's a serious subject, but maybe lightly comical here, and we're going to talk about Assange for a moment. This is the first one on Assange, and this past week Tuesday was the 4th anniversary of the arrest of Julian Assange, and now he's rotting away in Belmarsh prison in the UK, which Belmarsh is the Guantanamo Bay of the UK. And he's being tortured. He's slowly rotting away, and that's basically what they would like to see done. They hope to see him die. Let's just keep it real. They want to see the man die. And so what happens, there's been some Assange events over the years. And I wasn't able to go this past week because it's on a Tuesday. I'm not on vacation or what have you. So I wasn't able to make it to DC, but my heart and soul was there at that event because I do passionately believe in Julian Assange. So, Misty Winston, bless her for what she's done, doing the work she done for Julian Assange, set up an event at the U.S. Department of Justice during their business hours. It was set up from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. They had a series of speakers there. Some pretty well-known speakers. I wish I could have gone. Well, at the event, they had, well, let me put it this way. If you're going to go and strip, never wear skinny jeans, because it'll take you forever and in a day. Let me just put it that way. And I'll play you the video clip real quick, and that will speak for itself. So here we go. And here it is. Oh, in a second. Oh my, right? It's tonight's tonight. Here we go. Is there no sound? Well, you got what happened there. Okay, if there's no sound, I'm sorry about that. For some reason, some videos are not showing up with a sound. I do not know what's going on there, but you get what happened there. What's happened basically is that and I think I know how I'm going to get around with not having a sound next time if that happens again. So next video that doesn't have a sound, I know how I'm going to fix that. So basically what happened there, there's not much more to it than that. But what happened was there was a speech, and the guy started stripping down his clothes, and basically, oh, hold on a second. What happened was that it shocked everybody, and because of what happened there, he was arrested, and I got so much to say about that. It's like, what prompted him to do this? Was he what? I'm not saying he was he a Fed to disrupt? I don't know who the guy who he was, Was he just somebody just a nut, which probably might be more or less the case. We don't know. And I remember Misty Winston was talking about this with Reef Breland a few days ago, and she was complaining about the event and just a lot of things that happens when trying to set up an event and all that, which she shouldn't be too hard on herself, because when people set up events, there's always a lot of things that are not to be anticipated. But that was definitely somebody making a statement for sure. But apparently she's been very, very involved with the Assange movement all these years. I just known about her for less than a year now. I've known about Assange for all these years, but I just known about her particular activism for less than a year. And there was the work she's done. For what I found out, I'm pretty impressed. So I mean, I'm sorry that it turned out to be the way it turned out with regard to the weirdo stripping down like that and everything. So, but things happen, and much worse has happened in other demonstrations. I mean, but anyway, I wanted to show y'all that, and because it was just, it was, I mean, it was comical what happened on one hand, but on the other hand, it sucked because, it was bad optics, and, it just ruined, ruined the whole event in a lot of ways too. The one person that I was really impressed with, and I would love to play her video, but I'm afraid that you won't be able to hear her sound, would be Reverend Annie Chambers. She probably might have been one of the best speakers out there. And she is a former Black Panther. She's a pastor, 81 years old, been involved with the movement, for a very long time, obviously. And I heard her speak in October. And so, I hope to, if I go to another Assange event, I believe there's going to be one in October again. And I'm planning to go to that one. So I'm planning to. Knock on wood, but I'm planning to. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that story with you all. So, and if there's, I've been noticing there's no sound on some videos. I found a way that I'm going to take care of that. So if that happens, we're going to work our way around that. Okay. So let's go with the next story here. And let's go with this story here. And I hope that there will be a sound. And this one is okay. We'll try this one. Okay. Let's see. All right. In Canada, right now there is in effect a liberal NDP government, and that means that Justin Trudeau is the prime minister, and that means that Jagmeet Singh, who's the leader of the NDP, that his political party is in the coalition government. So and the Liberals, basically in Canada, this is the way it works in Canada compared to the United States. The Liberal Party in Canada is a less crappy version of the Democrats here in the United States. The Conservatives, nicknamed the Tories in Canada, are a less crappy version of the Republicans here. They're both still crappy parties. Make no mistake. If I live in Canada, I wouldn't vote for the Tories. I would not vote for the Liberals. The NDP, the New Democratic Party of Canada, is a political party that's to the left of the Liberals. If you wanted to say, imagine if Bernie Sanders and AOC actually did something positive instead of just run their mouths, and actually did something and actually delivered on their promises. That would be the NDP. I'll put it this way. And I'm going to put it on online left terms, okay? If here is a political party that if all of the major players on the American online left lived in Canada, this is a political party that the Young Turks, Sam Cedar Majority Report types, David Pakman types, boutique left types, the Kyle Kalinske, Crystal Ball, Brianna Joy Gray, Vanguard Boys, Status Quo types, and the Jimmy Dore and Gray Zone types will all be under one banner, probably not sniping at each other. That would be the NDP. I mean, I have decided that. I mean, if they all lived in Canada, they will all be in the NDP. Just about. I just couldn't imagine them not being in any other political party in Canada. All three factions of the online left. So there is that. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that the Liberals and the NDP are kind of working in a coalition. So I'm not particularly fond of Justin Trudeau. I'm not particularly fond of the Liberals. If I lived in Canada, I would be with the NDP, probably on the more left side of the NDP, wanting a more explicitly socialist way of doing things, like the way they used to be. But they're still one of the best. They're still the best in Canada under the reality, and that's why Canada, in some ways, is a better place to live than the United States, and they can have nicer things in Canada than they can here in the United States because of the NDP. If there was no NDP, Canada would be just like the United States, because when you have liberals and Tories, it's just going to be like having Democrats and Republicans here. Well, anyway, hopefully there will be a sound. And if not, I don't know. So I'll go ahead and play this video clip, and I'll comment on it. Okay, hold on. Okay, I had to play it kind of loud. Is there a sound? Anybody tell me if there's a sound? Give me a yay or nay. And the reason I'm playing this video fast is because I was told you play a video fast, you don't have to worry about copyright strikes. But anyway, what this gentleman's saying is that the NDP and the Liberals are working together, and they're creating a woke sound. Woke agenda. Okay, all right. I'll tell you what. Give me just a quick second. We're gonna solve this problem right now with no sound. Okay, I will be right back. We're gonna take care of that right now. Okay, I'm coming right back. I'm coming right back. I'm going to do something about this no sound situation. Okay, I'm coming right back. I'm coming right back. I'm going to do something about this no sound situation. Okay. All right. We're going to take care of that right this second. Okay. I don't know why it's doing that all of a sudden. Okay. And okay. All right. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go right back to the beginning of this video, and I do apologize. The best part about this is, since there's no sound, there won't be a copyright strike, and if you hear the sound from another computer of the same video, then there is no controversy. I don't see how there will be any I don't see how there'll be, and it's on a normal speed. So let me go and do this here real fast. Let's see, playback speed, and I'm going to put that on normal. Okay, here we go. You should be able to hear it now.
Been just over a year since Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh signed a confidence and supply agreement, effectively creating a Liberal NDP coalition in Parliament. This agreement has had two effects. The first is officially made Jagmeet Singh the hype man to Justin Trudeau. He is the Tony Yayo to Justin Trudeau's G Unit. The second effect of this confidence and supply agreement is that it has emboldened the Trudeau Liberals to conduct themselves like a majority government. They now have the ability to pass through all kinds of legislation and policies, and the NDP won't challenge them even a bit. So over a year later, what can we learn from this? Well, my biggest takeaway is that neither the Liberals nor the NDP are concerned with being a home for the anti-woke left. You know, the people who would identify as liberals and leftists, but don't buy into the woke political agenda of Trudeau and Singh. These are the John Chrétien liberals who support things like fiscal responsibility or free speech and reject Justin Trudeau's ideas around fiscal recklessness and online censorship. The anti-woke left also includes the union workers who once believed in the NDP's past promise to respect unions, and now are wondering what the heck the NDP is talking about when the NDP accuses hardworking union members of being complicit in systemic racism. The anti-woke left does not have a home with the Liberals or the NDP. And the question becomes, where will they find a political home? Can the conservative movement actually welcome these anti-woke liberals and leftists? You know, the term anti-woke, I first learned from looking at people like Bill Maher or Thomas Chatterton Williams, Matt Taibbi, Glenn Greenwald, Barry Weiss, folks on the left who hold left-wing political views, but ultimately disagree with people like Trudeau and Singh over things like cancel culture and race politics. I believe there are a lot of people like that in Canada too, in the Greater Toronto area in particular. And so the question becomes, how does the conservative movement communicate with the anti-woke left? Well, one key part of that might be focusing on what we have in common. There's an organization called the Foundation Against Intolerance and Racism, and they have argued that the replacement for wokeness should be a pro-human agenda, an agenda that embraces common humanity, equality under the law, and judging people by their character, not by their skin color. That is what conservatives and the anti-woke left have in common, a pro-human agenda. And can you imagine what a coalition of Canadians who share these pro-human values might be able to accomplish together? Well, at minimum, they might be able to get Justin Trudeau out of the prime minister role and give us better leadership in this country. I'd like to see what a pro-human agenda would look like. I'd like to see people across the political spectrum, left and right, who believe in these pro-human ideals, figure out how to talk to each other and work together. That would be in the best interest of our country. And ultimately, that should be why we care about politics in the first place, to do great things for Canada.
Okay. All right. Let me start with saying this. On the surface, what he had to say sounded like it could be reasonable. But the problem I had with what this obviously conservative gentleman who I know nothing about, he leans right, but he's trying to pull an American Dave Rubin on people. He's trying to pull an American Tim Pool on people. I am this quote unquote enlightened centrist. I am the quote unquote this liberal freethinker who wants to promote liberalism. Sargon of Akkad did this crap too, by the way. I'm one of these folks that wanted to do this, but I'm going to do this by saying everything that the left ever believed in was wrong, and everything that the right ever believes in was totally based. I'm not interested in people like that, because that's exactly what this guy's trying to do. He's trying to reel you in by saying to people who are, your Sam Harris's type, he's trying to reel you in by, we know that you have a little bit of nuance. You're a little bit different from these lefties over here. So we're going to go and reel you in. And once we reel you in, you can't think left anymore. You got to be with us, the cool kids, right wingers. You can't be with those left wing anymore. So discard those left wing ideas. That's exactly what they try to do. And that's exactly what they end up doing. And usually when that happens, the people get pulled into the right by being kind of conned into being, this is the new centrist or doing the new enlightened center. All of a sudden, they end up turning right wing. So please, if you ever hear people talking like this, don't fall for that crap. Now, in regard to the NDP, in regard to the home for the so-called anti-woke left, and I would be considered an anti-woke leftist in the sense I favor free speech, and part of the problem I do have with maybe a bulk of the left these days are things like the cancel culture and the pro-censorship aspect. That is my big beef with them. As you subtract the censorship brigade and the cancel culture frenzy some of them are on, pretty much I would be considered a woke skull. I would be considered an SJW. I would be considered, I'm pretty much the same as the anorexic little 15 to 19 to 25-year-old Generation Z kids who are like, so we got to go and change everything. Except that I favor free speech. I favor things like letting people have terrible opinions to themselves, even if I disagree with it. That's where I part company. But other than that, I am your typical, so-called fringe, nutcase, left-wing extremist. And I may not be the most left-wing extremists. There are people who are to my left. There are people who are to my right. They're on my left, what have you. Now, we're all complex creatures, and we all have nuances and differences. There are some areas where I'm not even left at all. I mean, I have a political position on gun control that some on the right would like, except I'm actually more pro Second Amendment than some of those folks these days, because some of them want to ban trans people from owning firearms. And so, it ended up that I'm more pro Second Amendment than they are. And I would say even gun control advocates, the ones that they call the gun grabbers, they're more pro Second Amendment than the NRA types that want to go and take away gun rights from people, from trans individuals. And they want this, and there are gun shops. You can go to gun shops these days, and there will be signs out there say like, "You're a Democrat, we ain't gonna sell you no firearms." I mean, that's kind of, you voted for Obama, you voted for Hillary, or you're a Bernie Sanders supporter. And I'm insulting Bernie Sanders, even though Bernie Sanders deserved to be criticized. I'm kind of still am insulting Bernie Sanders to associate him with Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. But you get my point. This is how the right wing thinks. You supported Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, or Barack Obama. I ain't going to sell you no firearms. But I'm pro Second Amendment, and don't you dare take away my guns. Yeehaw! I mean, that's the thing right there. That's the mindset you have to deal with. But they're saying, where would the left go in Canada? Well, there is one place that the left can go in Canada. It's the NDP. NDP is it. There's realistically no other place. I can't even say the Green Party in Canada, because the Green Party's to the right of the New Democratic Party in Canada, and that's actually the truth. Yeah, you would actually think that's not the case, but that is actually the case. The Green Party is actually policy wise to the right of the NDP, and and the Green Party is awesome here in the United States. It's not that they're bad in Canada. It's just that they're to the left of the Liberals, but to the right of the NDP. So if you're looking for a left-wing alternative to the NDP in Canada, it won't necessarily be with the Green Party. But anyhow, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, where to go in Canada? I mean, NDP. It's certainly not the Tories. It's certainly not the Tories, even though they're mildly better than Republicans in the United States. It's still the Tories. I mean, and that label, Tories, can you associate that with Thatcherism, and they had their Margaret Thatcher for years, called Stephen Harper. And so, you went from one bad extreme with Stephen Harper to you having Roberto O'Rourke of Canada right now as the prime minister, and that's Justin Trudeau. The only really good thing he's done when he got elected in 2014, I believe it was, I think it was in 2014, they legalized marijuana, and I am happy that pot's legal in Canada now, and it was decriminalized 20 years ago, and that was good. That was still a more progressive step than it is here in the United States. And I can't believe I went almost an hour without saying this. We have super chats here on KRTD. So if you're watching through KRTD, my channel is not monetized, not yet anyway, but through KRTD, you can actually go and donate. So if you're watching through KRTD, please donate to them whatever you can, and it helps with their work to promote their work as part of independent media. Since independent media overall is blacked out by the mainstream, that's the way they like it. So anyhow, we'll go with the next story, and we're going to go with the people that kind of started it all, and that's the Young Turks. And no matter, I know, but here's the thing: nearly all of us watched the Young Turks at one point. It was all I ever watched a decade ago. I would say even as recent as 2 years ago, I was still watching the Young Turks, although what kind of soured me was the forced to vote, their opposition to forced to vote. That did sour me a little bit. And then I don't really want to dwell too much on it, but then the meltdown with Erin Matei that she had on the air, that is Anna Kasparian, where she lost it. And then the Young Turks got into their drama with Jimmy Dore, and then with Erin Matei and Jimmy Dore, and then they pulled Kyle Kalinske into this, and Glenn Greenwald, and it was just a fight that was just really nasty throughout the summer 2021. And at the time, my position was I sided with Kyle Kalinske initially more than anybody else out of the three. And then with Jimmy Dore being second, and then Young Turks being a distant third. And now I'm looking back, and I'm sort of switched it around. I side with Jimmy Dore first, with Kyle Kalinske being second. Because here's the thing about Kyle Kalinske. And many folks here like to make fun of him, and I understand that he's taken a turn toward the center in a lot of areas. He has taken a turn toward the center. And he looks ridiculous with the blonde hair dye job. But Kyle Kalinske, I will defend him in this much. Kyle Kalinske did support forced to vote. And he, on a lot of policy matters between the Young Turks position and the Jimmy Dore position, aside from electoral politics, his policy position is probably more in line with Jimmy Dore's position still now in the year 2023 that it is with the Young Turks. And he has a more, I would say he has a more boutique, he's sort of boutique dirtbag left, I would say, Kyle. I would say he was more dirtbag at left at one time, but now he's sort of like 50-50, you know. And there are people that fits into that category of 50-50. Not a Vosh fan, but Vosh said that Kyle Kulinski sort of is the medium point or the halfway point between the Young Turks, Sam Cedar left, and the Jimmy Dore gray zone left. He is that halfway point. But suffice to say, Young Turks, they got a little bit of drama going on right now. And so with regard to their, it's basically in regard to what was said. And so what I'm going to do is Kit Cabello talks about this from Heartlands Media. So we'll listen to what Kit Cabello has to say about it. And then I'll share a few words. So about it myself. So hold tight here. And if y'all not subscribed to, I'm sure most of y'all are, but if y'all not subscribed to Heartlands Media, what are you waiting for? Go ahead, subscribe to them. They're great. So let's see. We'll get started right now. And let me know if there's not a sound, folks. I will fix it to make sure there will be a sound. And I'm sorry about that. I had an ad blocker, but the ad blocker messed up. So I am going to get that corrected. Okay. Okay. I smell a conspiracy. There's no sound. Okay. Well, we're going to fix that. Okay. All right. We're going to fix that. I don't know what the heck is going on with. Why is that happening now? And that's getting tiresome. Still no sound, huh? Okay. Well, we're going to fix that real fast. I'm going to try to have that investigated. There's got to be a reason why I'm not getting a sound when I do this. Hold on a second here. My apologies to y'all for what's happening here. Okay. Here we go. We should have a sound. We should have a sound now.
Let's all that we can to build a better future. I'm going to have to bring up the Young Turks. I know how a lot of you feel about the Young Turks. I know how a lot of you feel about them being in a media organization and so much more. But they made an oopsies. A serious oopsies. And everyone's kind of talking about it. This happened yesterday where Anna Kasparian apologized for screwing up royally. I'll be playing the video first, just so that all of you can see the apology. But again, it really does call into question of who's an authoritative source, who could be trusted. And again, look, it's important to apologize. And yes, we here at Heartlands Media, everyone has their own biases, but you cannot let that cloud your judgment. For example, we're going to be covering the Democratic Convention no, I'm not going to vote Democrat, but I mean, look, it's going to be a big newsworthy event that's going to be happening here in the city of Chicago in 2024. And occasionally, yes, we have acknowledged when a Republican or Democratic lawmaker does the right thing, theoretically, or might make a statement that, again, politicians never have followed through. But it's always important to look at every single perspective of a story. And you cannot let derangement syndrome, be it Trump derangement syndrome or anything else, cloud your judgment. So, Anna makes an apology. I want to share it with all of you.
I want to correct all of those errors that we had previously reported. And I want to be clear that out of everyone who works on the main show, the only person who should be held responsible for that is me. I'm the executive producer of the show, and I screwed up royally. And part of the reason why I screwed up is because I had all these biases, of course, against Ron DeSantis. And I don't.
Oh gosh, hold on a second, folks. That's not it. Why the heck did I get the wrong video? I am so sorry. She's wearing the same outfit. That's why. She's wearing the same outfit. That's why. I am so sorry about that. You know what? I should have looked at the history part. Here it is. I'm so sorry about that. Oh, I'm going to talk about a fluff up. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. I'm going to fix that right now. I am so sorry, folks. Okay. Fixed.
I want to share it with all of you.
I want to correct all of those errors that we had previously reported. And I want to be clear that out of everyone who works on the main show, the only person who should be held responsible for that is me. I'm the executive producer of the show.
No, that's not it. Damn. That is not it. Here it is. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna get it ready, right? Oh my gosh. Okay, let's see. Okay, got it.
So I'll just say this. Okay, I love you, and it's okay. And if you disagree, it's okay. If you want to leave, that's okay. Okay. Thank you for being a member all this time. I appreciate it. But what in my opinion, what your misunderstanding is, and what you have maybe you didn't see is, so all this kerfuffle starts with a simple tweet, and then at least half a dozen videos from up.
With TYT, it's never a simple tweet. I mean, come on. This is the same tweet that caused a huge overreaction and backlash to where people just start flaming and shooting at the flares and saying, pay attention to me, pay attention to me. I mean, come on. How could we ever forget when TYT systematically went after a lot of other independent media networks? I mean, you guys got a track record of doing some very shady things.
Other progressives or leftists online all attacking us and calling us all sorts of names. So maybe you don't see that, so you think, like, well, what is Cenk so upset about, right? So they call us all these names, and they feel super proud about it, like, we are more pure.
Pot calling kettle. Oh my gosh.
And then all of a sudden they're like, how could you insult us? All we were doing was punching you in the face. No. That's a right-wing position. You punch, then you got to
notice again, calling people right wing. What? That's so right wing. Shop.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Okay.
Mishka. That's a great skit that she did.
expect that I'm going to counter, right? I don't mean you, Kid Tester. I mean for folks who are out there. Here, I'll name a name. Lance from the Serps. He's on here all the time on the Power Panel, right? And he comes out and does this,
don't you remember when the Serfs and TYT, Majority Report were all on board, curb stomping and kicking and dismissing force to vote? Don't you all remember that when they were all friends? See, the thing is, they're fighting each other just for attention. Because here's the thing. A lot of these larger networks, or those that have carried water for the DNC or the establishment or neoliberalism, they know that people ain't tuning in. They know that people don't have time to be paying attention to that crap. Why is that? Because people are tired. People are angry. Why do you think the Jimmy Dore show is successful? Why do you think RBN is knocking it out of the park? Why do you think Hardlands Media? We've been here for so long, folks. Why do you think people are leaving? Because they got tired of the neoliberal, water-carrying people for the Democratic Party. Listen, there's corporatism in this world. There's abuse and power in this world. And the thing is, a lot of you watching right now, listening to the show as you're heading to work, be sure to put some whiskey in your coffee, by the way. Look, you know what's going on. But when you have networks that are dismissive to concerns that have been brought up years ago, people are going to not tune in. And again, it's just interesting to see how now TYT and all their friends are just fighting each other.
video about how he's so correct and oh yeah, they don't curse. Correct? No, Lance, you're not goddamn correct. Nobody elected you. The polling shows no one agrees with you.
You think, hey, let's have democracy in the chat. I'll stop pausing afterwards. I'll rewind it. But you think Lance is ever going to make it back on TYT Power Panel? Type 1 for yes.
Yeah, good Lord. You can just see how bitter Shank is and the way he does. He cracks me up sometimes.
Kid, everything will be a hunky-dory. Attack 2 for, oh no.
Your 12 buddy about how he's so correct and oh yeah, the young Turks. Correct? No, Lance, you're not goddamn correct. Nobody elected you. The polling shows no one agrees with you. Your 12 buddies online, I don't care, okay? And say, oh yeah, I'm 100%. He's 99.95% correct. Oh, I'm going to correct him. No. So don't look. You want to say, hey, I don't agree with you? God bless. You want to say, Jay, you shouldn't say anything back because you're being rude. Come on, brother or sister. I don't know what. I
just gotta be honest. I just don't really care to collaborate with any other leftists ever again at this point.
Yeah.
You heard what she said. She doesn't care to collaborate with any other leftists again. And these folks are always calling everybody to their left right wing. I'm just saying. And look, I can watch the Young Turks. I can watch the Young Turks and hold on a second here. I paused it here. Let me pause it over here. I can watch the Young Turks and find things that they say even now in the year 2023. I can find a story that I agree with. I mean, honestly. I mean, I could go on CNN and find a story I may agree with even. I mean, that's a very low bar, you know? That really is a low bar. As horrible as Tucker Carlson is, and he's horrible on trans issues, he's horrible on a lot of social conservatism and everything of that nature. He's capable of being a stop clock, giving the right time twice a day. So, I mean, and that's not an endorsement of Tucker Carlson, by the way. I don't want anybody hearing me like, oh, do you hear he says something nice about Tucker Carlson? No, I did not. I'm just saying you can find anybody who says something, you can find a stop clock giving a right time twice a day. But my point is that the Young Turks, I mean, again, I hate to say this. I mean, I used to love the Young Turks. There was a time I couldn't get enough of them. I mean, But it's like you could just tell they were so bitter. I mean, anyway, we'll continue.
No longer collaborate with any other leftists. What? Guys, that was your bread and butter. What you doing? Oh no! Oh no! What, Anna?
I just don't really care to like collaborate with any other leftist ever again at this point.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at, because they come on the show, they build a name for themselves.
I like how Jake's kind of looking up and realizing, Anna. What'd you say now? I don't know. Or maybe he's just exhausted. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Here, I'll rewind it again. Just rewind it again.
Didn't say anything back because you're being rude. Come on, brother. Wherever your business.
Okay, he's doing that mess again. Okay, give me a second, folks. All right, I'm sorry about that. Let's see. Okay, well, let me go ahead and pause for a moment here. Yeah, I mean, that's what they do. They've been so busy attacking others. It's kind of like, well, why all of a sudden, they're wondering why all of a sudden they're being attacked. I mean, and it's because, this is what they've been doing all this time. I mean, this is exactly what they have been doing all this time. And I've noticed that there are times that he kind of looks, I'm sorry, but there are times he looks very frightened when she gets too upset. I mean, sorry, but when it's that time of the month, you can tell when it's that time of the month for her, and she gets and that hair bun is tight as it can be. I mean, he is like, every time. So anyway, we'll continue.
Getting it wrong. Here, I'll rewind it again. Just rewind it again.
Didn't say anything back because you're being rude. Come on, brother or sister. I don't know what. I just gotta be honest.
I just don't really care to like collaborate with any other leftist ever again at this point.
No.
That's where I'm at, because they come on the show, they build a name for themselves, and then they build a bigger name for themselves, trashing us as if they don't know who we are, as if they haven't worked with us, they don't know what our actual political values are. So
sort of like how you've gone after a lot of your former friends and people in independent media too, when they told you, hey, why are you ignoring the fact there was election fraud 2016 2020? Why are you carrying water for the Democratic establishment? Hey, there's this thing called Force to Vote, which, remember, folks, Jake was on board for until, I think it lasted for about a week, until he got maybe a phone call, or maybe Anna got angry. Maybe she said, hey, my new skirt is against it. Just throwing it out there. You guys were on board for Force to Vote, and then all of a sudden, something changed. Am I wrong?
My position is that I think that they're doing a little soul searching, and they're trying to find a way to rebrand themselves. That they're not like those obnoxious leftists out there, but they're going to be a cut above it all. And look what they're doing. Okay, Anna Kasparian. The Young Turks that go and get angry that Glenn Greenwald, Jimmy Dore goes on, and Tulsi Gabbard will go on Tucker Carlson. I mean, I know we're all divided on Tulsi Gabbard. She's a complex individual, I know. But the point I'm trying to make is they get all upset. Oh no, Glenn Greenwald, Jimmy Dore, Tulsi Gabbard, done Tucker Carlson again. Oh no! They'll do that. But, Anna Kasparian going on Ben Shapiro, having a dialogue. And what did he do? He forwarded a tweet by her in a very turfy moment. I'm saying that. I'm not saying that Anna Kasparian is a turf. I'm not saying she's Matt Walsh. I'm definitely not saying she's Matt Walsh. I'm definitely not saying she's Michael Knowles or Ben Shapiro on the issue of trans. I know that on the issues of trans, she's absolutely pro trans rights. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no disputes. but she, and honestly, I did at first, I sided with her, but thought, well, that was kind of clumsy language. I could see where she don't like to be called a birthing person or individual with the uterus, but it was not meant for her. It was not meant for her. And looking back, I could see why in the heck fire is she getting so upset about this, it's a clumsy term. We can all agree with it. I think even the trans community would agree it's a little bit of a clumsy term. It's just something that medical workers have to come up with until they can find a way to accommodate the trans community where equality can be met. And I don't think she fully realized that at that point. So in this regard, I'm going to go and defend her just a little bit. She's a good faith actor in the sense that she's not a transphobe. I want to make that clear, but she did get a little bit too uptight about it. But Ben Shapiro he forwarded that tweet. He was so too happy to forward the tweet that she made because because that he knew that was going to cause some infighting on the left. So that I just want to go and throw that little tidbit out. But they want to do a rebranding exercise on themselves. So they want to basically, TYT is basically MSNBC for hipsters, for people who are who are a little more, who have slightly better politics than MSNBC. That's what it's for. At this day and age, there was a time they used to utter those three letters to people a decade ago, TYT. Even as late as 2020, he uttered the name TYT. And they knew what the hell it was. They'll be like, TYT, those people, they're not scary anymore. They're not scary anymore. I mean, because they kind of lost their way. I mean, now the last time they were kind of posed a threat was in 2020 when the Democratic Party convention banned them from having press credentials. So, anyway. There are actually maybe some people who may still run underneath the bed in fear that as if there's some, beleaguered Bolsheviks out there trying to go and I don't know what the heck fire people were thinking at the time. So, but it's the Overton window. We have a stupid Overton window in the United States. I think we can all agree with that.
Maybe yes, maybe no.
I don't, Jake, I never want to talk about them again. I never want to address them again. It's a waste of time. There's important stuff going on in the country. Our personal drama with a bunch of leftists on Twitter doesn't matter.
All right. Last thing I'm going to say on it, because you brought it up, is that I'm not the kind of guy to back down.
All right, not the kind of guy to back down. Now, the thing is, I do want to acknowledge someone here in the live stream chat. Willy Bragg writes, but ultimately, I agree with Anna in this instant. And here's the thing. There's a reason why there is a fight going on. If we are to respect the pronouns and terms for others, then we should show the same respect to Anna. She doesn't want to be called a birthing person, and that is true. Willa, I will agree with this. Okay, look. Obviously, I think this all could have been handled maybe privately online, private messaging. Instead of just lighting a flare and say, hey, look at me, and then have a huge flame war on Twitter. But I think it's important to realize, like, hey, look, we all have different perspectives and points of view. And the thing is, Twitter is a cesspool. It's a raw sewage pipeline, okay? Hell, it's not only a pipeline, it's a pipeline that's bursted up and it's on the ground and all the crap is there to see. Will Twitter ever be a great spot again? I don't know. I don't think so. But she does have a right to an opinion. Now, should she have been as pushed hard by those on the left for her giving her 2 cents? No. Could all of this been handled better? Yeah. But then when you do a video where you're saying, I don't want to work with the left no more, then it kind of once again reestablishes something that I've been saying. That is, the progressive left, the left movement, needs a massive restart button, because currently, as is, the leadership, the larger networks, the Congressional Progressive Caucus, however which way you want to call it, go back to the drawing board, Because they're constantly cannibalizing. There truly is going to be a progressive movement. This whole of, oh, we're better than you, or I know better, or just constantly wailing at each other. It's not conducive for any kind of real political movement at all. At all. But hey, look, we all have our opinions. Anna shared hers. She's entitled to it, as are all of you. And I really think that the pushback she got was not right. But again, if cooler heads did prevail, if people actually did talk it out, it would not be this, bonfire from hell. That's what I would say about this. But who knows? Who knows about TYT? Whether or not they will learn their lesson or not. Whether or not they will actually be or remember who they were. But then again, hey, look, sometimes, things need to restart again. Sometimes people need to come to terms with how they've also acted. TYT's record isn't all that clean. Maybe they'll remember, maybe not. But hey, I could leave you all with a final note. Something hilarious.
Get the fuck off the phone! Get the fuck off the phone! Get off the phone, you anti-woman, poor sandwich-making fuck! I'm a feminist. I'm the real feminist, bitch!
Okay.
Bitch!
No, listen. You won't have a reasonable discussion.
Come on. We're all allowed to have a little fun here. We're all allowed to have a little fun here. But seriously, I'm curious to see just how this will play out for TYT in the long run, especially when you make a statement of not wanting to work with the left anymore. I'm very curious to see what the left is going to do for this election cycle and how things will play out. Who knows? It's going to be a strange new world as we enter into 2024. We'll see how things change, and we'll see how people change. Hard Lens Media will be there to cover it.
Yeah, hold on. Okay, that's it for that segment there. If you're not subscribed to Heartlands Media, I do highly recommend that you do so. But I'm going to say one thing in fairness to the Young Turks. One thing in fairness, they did start something positive. If you think about it, it was started by Cenk Uygur and Ben Mankiewicz. It was started off, I believe, as in a radio station in LA. In 2005, they went on YouTube and they exploded. And it did introduce independent media. It actually knocked right-wing talk radio off a bit. So, because prior to that, all there was right-wing talk radio. All there was Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, and everybody trying to imitate Sean Hannity, Rush Limbaugh, and Mark Levin, and Glenn Beck, and all those clowns. And they are still around. Well, Rush Limbaugh's dead, but they're all still around doing their thing. But they don't quite have the influence they used to. The internet, the left made it, and now, I mean, the Young Turks sort of in the place of where Rush Limbaugh was. And even on the right, there were people who looked at Rush Limbaugh like, oh, Rush Limbaugh sold out. I personally think he was always too far right. I always thought he was just a horrible individual. But there were people on the right that wanted to go for the right, and they went with the Alex Jones and the Michael Savage and all of that. And I guess you could say that. Just looking throughout there, I may do a video where I may compare right-wing new media and left-wing new media, which one are each other's counterparts. I may do that one of these days and tell you why. I think that should be probably pretty fun. I just had to compare the personalities and all that. Not a Steven Crowder fan, obviously, but that was pretty funny. Him mocking Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian. That was. real quick, we have super chats on KRTD Media. So if you don't mind, if you could donate, they'd be most appreciative. I just wanted to state that there. Next story is the next story. We'll go with the next story. And just in case there's no sound, I'm going to go and make sure that story will have a sound. So I am going to investigate what the heck is going on with that situation with the video with the no sound on half of the videos that I've been playing lately, because that's it's quite annoying. So let me go ahead and find that. Let me go ahead and try to find that video, and we will just in case. Right there it is. Okay. Next story is Kyle Kalinske video, and it's about Mark Levin. It might actually be the final video I'll play this evening. So let's see here. Yep. Here we go. All right. And hopefully there will be a sound. Let me know if there's a sound. If there's no sound, let me know right away. Oh gosh. Okay, hold on with the. Okay, that's not a problem. Okay. That's not a problem.
All right, y'all, welcome to the show. Got a great.
Okay. We're at 110. All right. That's not a problem. Okay. Let's see what's the sound on 1 point. I am going to investigate that, but
Audio version of the podcast is supposed to go on video for video. All right, so here we go. Mark Levin is the pseudo intellectual of Fox News. Voice, he sounds kind of like Ted Cruz, but this is supposed to be the serious man over at Fox News. That's the vibe he gives off, and you're going to see here. He does this rant on Hannity show, and this is getting terrifying. So you look at what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. You look at what's going on with China, potentially them in Taiwan. You know, fingers crossed on that one, but the signs are there that perhaps won't be too good in the future. You take a look at that, and it's a yikesy moment, to say the least. Well, Fox is going to go ahead and add fuel to the fire with this absolutely ludicrous and psychotic rant. Watch this.
Brazil now is with China. That's in our own hemisphere. We used to have something called the Monroe Doctrine. Let me read you a list, Sean. Invasion of foreigners, severe economic troubles, division of the empire stretched too thin, government corruption and political instability, loss of traditional values, weakening of the legions, the military. That is what combined to destroy the Roman Empire.
I love the weakening of the military point, because it's like, are we looking at the same budget? We still spend more on our military than the next 10 biggest countries combined.
I hate how that man takes off his glasses. I just wanted to say that. I hate how he takes off his glasses like he's going to just lay the law down on the line for everybody. So I mean, like, he's such an expert, and he's going to just lay the law down on everybody. So anyway, I will continue.
He's like, bro, our military's getting weak. Now, what he means by that is, they've gone woke, bro. They, allow gay people to exist in the military now, so everything's going downhill. These guys are
so out of touch. It's embarrassing.
Empire lasts 1,000 years. We're not even close to 1,000 years. Every one of those 7 or 8 issues is something we are confronting today. And Rome fell in 476 CE of its own weight. We have something going on in this country that we've never had before. We have a Marxist revolution that is destroying us from within.
We have a Marxist revolution that's destroying us from within. A Marxist revolution? Bruh. The best we have in this country is a Bernie Sanders movement, which was pushing for mild social democracy. We just want everybody to have healthcare, man. That's it. Healthcare, higher wages, end the corruption. Ironically, he cites the corruption as evidence of the empire in decline. But like,
yeah, there is no Marxist revolution. There's no Marxists around. And mild social democrats are right. Too mild. So mild that the social democrats who are in power are not willing to go and take on a Republican light figure like Joe Biden. Well, there are people out there who think that Joe Biden is a Marxist. I kid you not.
Like, the people who are fighting the corruption are the same people you just smeared. We got a Marxist revolution coming, or Marxist revolution taking over this country. Look, I run in lefty circles. Will, I'll tell you, ain't no revolution here right now. We wish, right? Like, I wish that the left actually had power and got universal healthcare and universal education and eliminated student loan debt and gave everybody higher wages and all the amazing, beautiful things that we talk about all the time. But it isn't happening, right? So, I mean, again, just totally, for once, I would like to get inside one of these people's minds and just, like, see the world from their point of view. Because it appears to me like they just mixed up. It's just utterly made up.
The enemy gathers abroad. And there is an axis of powers against us right now. It's China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. This is no joke. China hasn't...
Okay, so he's just doing the axis of evil speech from George W. Bush. You know, whatever it was, 2001, 2003, David Frum wrote the speech. Just like listing out all of the official state enemy baddies and using their existence to justify feeding the military-industrial complex trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. He's just recycling that same neocon imperialist garbage.
Sorry, folks. I'm going to do something about that ad blocker situation. I really am. Give me a moment here.
And fire being the biggest navy on the face of the earth, military islands in the South China Sea, over 27 bases of different kinds in our hemisphere, a deep water naval base in Somalia where my great uncle fought on Guadalcanal.
I don't know if I would admit that, are you? He brought up 27 Chinese military bases. Hey, Mark, how many do we have? How many do we have near them? Curious. 800? 900? Something in that ballpark, right? But he cites their numbers and doesn't say a word about our numbers. Look, I'm telling you, man, this is that imperialist brain rot where he thinks the U.S. is above the law, right? Like, he thinks we can do no wrong and we're the good guys by definition. So when we do...
And he's right. That's exactly what these neocons think. You run across that mindset. If it's torture or if it's surveillance, if it means curtailing basic freedoms here in the United States, keeping political prisoners, if it means wrecking the economy of other countries, stealing their resources, we can do it because we're the United States and we are by definition the good guys. And it's amazing. The older I get, the more I realize, that there's just so much. I used to think that we could reform our way out of this, and all that. I used to think. I mean, it just needs to be just overtly. I mean, we just need to overtly challenge this and just and humble this empire needs to be humbled, and all of that. And, here's the thing, what some people call anti-Americanism, what some people call anti-Americanism is actually, there's nothing more pro-American than keeping Americans out of harm's way, out of all these wars, and there's nothing more pro-American than to mind our own business. And honestly, I mean, we're getting upset over a balloon flying over the United States, but we can have hundreds of bases in the Pacific surrounding China. Now, I'll get in trouble with some of my tanky friends. I'm not a Leninist. I don't support the Chinese government. It's not the political system I support. I am more of a social democrat, always have been. I'm a little further left than I used to be as a social democrat. But the point I'm trying to make is I do not believe in sitting there and antagonizing other countries, whether it's antagonizing Russia or whether it's antagonizing China, North Korea, Cuba, Iran. Yeah, you don't have to, the countries that the United States opposes. I mean, you don't have to sit there and embrace their government, but you don't have to sit there and start a fight with them either. And that's the problem with the United States. They look for a fight, and then sometimes some of the people that the United States opposes, they'll end up supporting forces who are not just worse than the people that they oppose, but some of those people who are worse than the people they oppose hate America more than the people that they oppose. Case in point, even though China has actually caused a peace agreement between Iran and Saudi Arabia, which is a good thing. But previously, I'm going to tell you, the United States wanted to sit there, bully Iran, and sit there and suck off on Saudi Arabia. But Saudi Arabia have always been a heck of a lot worse in terms of terrorism against the West than Iran. Iran practiced virtually no terrorism against the West next to Saudi Arabia. But what the United States likes to do, they want to go and bully Saudi Arabia. United States created a lie about the Uyghurs in China. The first time the United States care about a Muslim community is the Uyghur community in China. They normally would not care about what happened to Muslims any other place in the world, but it's because it's a government that the United States do not like. So they, or certain aspects of the government, because conservatives and liberals are divided on China when it comes to dealing with China. You got those on the right who are correct on the Russia policy. Do not go and get ourselves bogged down in a war with Russia, in this NATO action with Ukraine. You're like, well, they look like they have left their neoconservative leanings, but all of a sudden, they're neocons when it comes to China. Newsflash, China and Russia are allies. So if you're not starting a war with Russia on the Ukraine front, but you're trying to start a war over Taiwan with China, who are you going to upset when you're upsetting China? You're also going to be upsetting Russia. And then you got some that wants to go and invade Mexico over a non-existent problem called the border. And there's not a problem, but any dilemma that exists on the border dilemma, not a problem, but any dilemma with migrants. You want to know why we have migrants here? It's because of the United States foreign policy toward Latin America. That could easily be fixed if the United States altered their policy and stop bullying countries in Latin America. I'm half Hispanic. I don't have a problem with Mexicans here, Venezuelans here, Nicaraguans here, Dominicans here. I have no problem with that. And it's not, like, oh, you're for open borders. No, it's not. It's not being for open borders. We don't need ICE. You have customs. It's okay to have customs. If it's not broke, don't fix it. You have customs at borders. That's fine. There's nothing inherently bad about customs. They're doing their jobs. But here's the thing. If you don't want migrants from the Middle East coming here in the United States, maybe don't drone strike these people in the Middle East over and over and over again. Bush and Cheney with the ground troops in Iraq, and Obama and Trump and Obama and Biden with the drone strikes. Maybe if you end those drone strikes and end the boots on ground, you might not have a quote unquote migrant crisis from the Middle East. You may not have a migrant crisis from Latin America if the United States stop trying to bully these countries around. And if the United States just go around minding their own business. It's amazing. I think that these other countries, even problematic countries, will not go and mess with the United States. Who knows? I could be correct. So anyway, let's Kyle Kalinske continue.
When we do torture, when we do illegal and offensive invasions, it's okay because we mean well. Mark Levin is on the team, therefore Mark Levin, good guy. So whatever we do is okay. This is the thought process, man, but it's going to take an even darker turn. Wait.
You have China with a base on the western coast of Africa facing us, killer satellites, nuclear missiles. You think they're building all that to defeat Taiwan? They're building all that to defeat us. They're not going to be satisfied with Taiwan. They're in battles now with the Philippines and Japan, even Vietnam. Australia's being threatened. Unless you're Helen Keller, you can't see this and hear what's going on here. This is a big damn deal. And let me tell you something that viewers of this audience and others may not want to hear. We need to prepare for war against China. I don't mean go to war. I don't mean initiate a war. But they are preparing for war. We are completely unprepared as a nation psychologically. We are completely unprepared economically and immigration-wise.
Are you going to go fight that war, Mark? Are you going to go fight that war? He says we're completely unprepared for war. We're unprepared psychologically. We're unprepared economically. So who do you want to prep psychologically?
Let me tell you about Mark Levin. When Obama came out with the stimulus package in 2009, that there was a part of the stimulus package that was struck out called the Buy American Clause. Mark Levin was opposed to the Buy American Clause. You want to know why Mark Levin was opposed to the Buy American Clause? Because it will go in and jeopardize our economic trade deals with China. In other words, it would actually help American workers and harm the corporations and all that. Because Mark Levin is a free trader. I bet you Mark Levin favors the free trade policies we have with China, but he hates the diplomacy. It's really weird how people like him thinks. So sometimes. And really, what's really weird on the right with a softer attitude toward China with the economic ties that we have with China, they'll tell you, don't pick on China, which is a little worse on human rights than to pick on Cuba, which Cuba is improving on human rights. Cuba, you can argue that Cuba is almost a social democracy at this point. I mean, it's almost Tito's Yugoslavia at this point. They have actually, I mean, the decades of hardline authoritarianism has been slowly going away, and it's and other countries are trading, and the United States is foolish to have the embargo. They need to get rid of the embargo. And the United States is harsher on Cuba than it is on other countries with worse human rights records than Cuba. I mean, I don't apologize for any country. Every country commits a human right abuse, one form or another. Cuba, everybody has health care. United States commits a crime against the people by not guaranteeing health care to people. The United States commits a crime against the American people by having more people incarcerated than any other country in the world. Even the countries who are super authoritarian do not have the incarceration rates of the United States. And that's been done by design. There's a reason why. And you add the profit motive to it, the private prisons and everything. Just add that to that fix, the equation.
Who's going to go fight that war? You going to be on the front lines with a gun, tough guy? No, you want to send other people's kids to go fight and die. You want poor, working class American men and women to go be cannon fodder on the front line. That's what you want. Now you're going to say, I'm going to let this play a little longer, but you can see here he does like, I'm not saying go to war, but they want to go to war, so we got to be ready to go to war. We should go to war. But I'm not saying go to war, but we should go to war. Enough.
Our border? Our military is not prepared in the sense that they're pushing this woke ideology. Our military budgets do not reflect the threats that we are facing in the world around us. We spend more than any other country around the world. And if being woke in the military means that you're tolerant of LGBTQ people, well, my heavens, let the military be woke. That's the argument that the right wing made in 1948 when Harry Truman said that African Americans ought to serve in the military along with the whites. That was the same argument that segregationists and racists said in 1948 when Harry Truman signed the executive order to desegregate the U.S. military. Oh, what it would do to the morale of the military. I mean,
what will harm the morale of the military is always getting us involved in war everywhere around the world at a bat of an eyelash. That's going to do more to undermine the morale than anything else. And it's done by design. It's done by design. So anyway.
I want to say it again, so the backbenchers regurgitate it. We must prepare for war against China. Not because we want war, not because we're going to cause war, but because they want war.
I don't know, man. It seems like you want war too. It seems like you kind of want war too.
Kyle, you have to understand about Mark Levin. He's the kind of person that does not like porn because warfare is his porn. It's the only thing that will cause Mark Levin to have an erection in his tiny pinky little penis. That's the only thing that, same thing with John Bolton. The only thing that will get him hard is a mushroom cloud.
That's really not too much of a stretch to make that point now, is it? Again, we have 800, 900 military bases around the world. We spend $7 trillion on the war in Iraq, $2 trillion on the war in Afghanistan. We have the military industrial complex where one of the biggest businesses in this country is Raytheon, Boeing, Halliburton, Honeywell. We got all these defense contractors. There are defense contractor jobs in every single state in the United States of America. It is a major money industry. So go back and watch Eisenhower's military industrial complex speech. He warns about what can happen if war is a business. And that's where we're at right now. And so here he is salivating over the idea of World War III. By the way, there is no just war with China. That's not a thing. That's the end of the world. If there's a war between the United States and China, that's how that ends. So to talk about it in this casual way, look, if you were really concerned about this and you were a serious person, you would argue for negotiation and diplomacy and conversation and open dialogue and try to find some way to navigate forward in a perilous time. The fact of the matter is we've had a unipolar world ever since the end of World War II. And what that means, that's just a fancy way of saying the United States has been the world's sole superpower for a very, very long time. And now we're kind of entering a new era where it's going to be a multipolar world because we've clearly lost our stranglehold on the global economy. We've put people in line, and now they're stepping out of line. And evidence of that is the Belt and Road Initiative, where China is cutting all these economic deals with these developing countries. Evidence of that is Brazil now entering into a pact with China. One of our top allies, Saudi Arabia, has now stabbed us in the back to make a deal with China and Russia. There's a conversation now about the dollar no longer being the world reserve currency. Look, people are moving on, right? Countries are moving on. Now, why? Why have they gotten to a point where they're like, well, let's kind of divorce ourselves a little bit from the United States of America? The answer is simple. We violate every single rule and law under the sun, and we are immensely punitive with everybody else. But when it comes to us and our closest allies, anything goes. I mean, that's the bottom line, right? Like, we have used the fact that the U.S. dollar is the world reserve currency. We've used that fact to sanction the hell out of everybody who's an official enemy nation, whether it be Iran or North Korea. We have too much power, too much control, too much authority over other nations. We crack down on other countries when they do, illegal wars and violate human rights. We'll crack down on them. But when we're guilty of the same things, we give ourselves a pass. Look at how we treat Israel, for example. They're on the good team, so they get away with whatever they want to. But look at how we treat Iran. It's quite the opposite, right? So there hasn't been an actual set of rules. International law is not applied objectively. The way we approach sanctions is not applied objectively. So basically, this is a long way of saying we've been incredibly willy-nilly with how we were the world's sole superpower. And there are consequences to that. People have had enough. They've had enough, and they're moving in a different direction. And think about it. If you're some developing country and China comes along and says, basically, hey, we're going to build out all your infrastructure for you, and you're going to be part of the Belt and Road Initiative, and then we're going to make some sort of economic deals where, yes, China's going to end up exploiting and taking some natural resources from these places, etc. That's the offer on the table from China. The offer on the table from the U.S. is what? Maybe we'll invade you and put in a puppet dictator. At least with China, you get the infrastructure development, right? So, of course, all these countries are now gravitating towards China. So what he's saying is not wrong. There is a rise of China, right? Like, there is a rise of China. There's a decline among the United States of America. But his reasoning is 100% wrong, and he's calling for war to try to prevent it, right? Call for war to try to prevent the rise of China. And it's just embarrassing. It's hawkish, and it would be the end of the world as we know it. I mean,
basically, it comes down to this. Mark Levin misses the George W. Bush, Dick Cheney years. That's when I first heard of Mark Levin. And he was one of the few people that was defending the status quo and arguing for an aggravated version of it at the time.
I mean, it's suicide pact stuff. What are you talking about here? So, look, if you want the United States to remain the world's sole superpower or to become viewed more seriously by the global community, there are very simple ways to do it. We would have to economically develop other nations, have better deals for them, apply the law, international law more objectively, subject ourselves to the same thing. It would be stuff like that, which are things we would never in a million years ever consider. We'd much rather just threaten anybody with our giant military if they start to get a little bit too much power, and that's exactly where we are right now. So I know this segment became a little wonky, but the fact of the matter is, this is psycho stuff here from Mark Levin, and it sounds to me like he does want war with China. It's amazing that to say that so flippantly and so glibly is like terrifying. And all these, there's so many Republicans who are like, when it comes to the Russia and Ukraine war, they're like, oh my God, we need to find a way out of this and negotiate. And it's like, cool, yeah, I agree with that. But then in the next breath, they're like, and we should do a war with China. Wait, what? Why wouldn't the same negotiation thing apply there? Why wouldn't you also want to find a way out of war with China? It's like, you understand that we should find a way out of Russia, Ukraine, but we shouldn't find a way out of war with, like, what are you talking about? It's like all the Republicans pretend like they're not interventionists, then in the next breath, they're like, we should invade Mexico. What? No. Let's stop with the insane foreign policy. Let's stop invading places willy-nilly. We can act like a serious country. We just have to choose to and get rid of the corrupting influence of the military-industrial complex, but that's easier said than done. Anyway, Mark Levin's a psychopath. I think you all see that very clearly. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe.
Okay, that's it with that. Anyway, yeah, that was one of his better videos there, and that's why I haven't totally decided not to write him off, because I mean that's the kind of sound that he would do. That's kind of sound. That's the kind of content he would go and put on the air, and it still has a lot of value in what he has to say. So anyway, let me go over here real quick on the chat line, and I will conclude with the show here. So Anthony Malecki was the first person up here. Hey, and he says, Willie, hey, how are you doing? Super Planton Man, I know who you are. Did you hear that Graham Lyman, the Irish comedian, was suspended going after Dylan Mulvaney? Yeah, well, I don't know in the context of going after, but I don't know why Dylan Mulvaney is so offensive to people. That's what I understand about homophobia, or the anti-trans attitude or whatever. Because there are some people out there that I use a stereotypical view, and I'm being nice. I'm being affirming saying this. Some of them are a little campy and everything. It's charming, but for some reason, people think that being campy and charming and providing a lot of atmosphere. That's a line from It's a Wonderful Life, by the way. It's offensive to them, and people need just to get a grip. Seriously. Hey, Warren, how are you doing today? Hope the presidential campaign's doing well. Let's see here. Strong Flower. One, it's not just the right. Oh, Strong Flower. Let me just say, when I criticize the right, I normally do so out of tribalism, being on the left, and I admit that. But I also try to make a point that it's not always there's times where I try to make a point that it doesn't apply to every single person on the right, and sometimes some people on the right have been accused of something that they're not guilty of. I'll give you an example. The Pulse nightclub shooting that took place in 2016, where 49 gay men were shot at and at the gay club, and it was done by a son of a Muslim cleric. I've heard some people said this happens because of this fundamentalist Christian atmosphere of intolerance. I'm like, well, I don't deny that there's a lot of Christian fundamentalists that are horrible on the issue, but they get a free pass there because not one of them were involved with that shooting, and that was somebody of an individual, not everybody. There's an individual of the Muslim faith that did it there. So I mean, again, not everybody, not every Christian that the guy that blew up the federal building in Oklahoma City. What was his name? Timothy McVeigh. Christian identity doesn't mean everybody who's a Christian wants to sit there and commits acts of terrorism and jumpstart the Turner Diaries all over America. Again, the guy that went and shot up the 49 gay men at the nightclub in what's that, Orlando? doesn't mean that every Muslim wants to sit there and shoot up gay people either. So there's a lot of nuance into everything. So not every right-wing person is necessarily authoritarian, but I'm just saying that there are people on the other side that likes to smear everybody on the left, and it's my response. So there's that. Still here, Willie. How are you doing? Once again, Anthony. Let's see. Linda says the Republicans and the Democrats dislike both. They're both horrible. Tim Black says both parties suck, Johnson, and he's correct. He's correct. No, even though he's a little more moderate than he used to be, he's still correct when he said both parties suck, Johnson. So there is that. And it's getting close. It's a little bit past 11, so I probably won't mention. Let's see. Hey, hand, purple, blue, peace, face, blue, smiling hand, pink, waving, couldn't take any more. Sirota, Williamson's squawky body, raised arms. Ghost Start says. Yeah, I think I'm kind of up to here with Sirota myself. So, and Marianne Williamson's a nice lady, very eccentric, likable, but I just don't get it. I just don't really get a pizzazz out of her. Let's see. Linda says we're going to have to save ourselves. Both are so screwed up. That's so true. Les Bones, how are you doing, my friend? Always great seeing you here on YouTube or on Twitter. Let's see. Bula 2024. Yeah, let's see. And let's see, we have a couple other folks here. Let's see. I'm going to cut I usually try to cover everybody here online. But I'm short on time, running over right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say thank you all for showing up this evening. And I'm just also going to say that come back next week for another edition of the Willy Bragg Show, where I will be in partnership with KRTD Media. And I thank you all for supporting KRTD Media. I also thank you all for supporting my channel. And I hope to see you all again next week. So be sure to drop a like, because when you drop a like on any YouTube video, it helps with the algorithms. Comment, and we'll try to comment back, good, bad, or indifferent. We'll have a conversation. Feel free to share any of the content on my channel or that of KRTD Media's channel. And as a First Amendment absolutist, and I think I am speaking on KRTD's behalf, saying this, as a First Amendment absolutist, I urge each and every one of you to create your own platform and utilize it, because we are, in fact, the muckrakers of our time. So go ahead, create your own platforms. Let a thousand flowers bloom. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel here, the Willy Bragg Show on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Same thing with KRTD Media. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Follow us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, Twitch, and all other platforms that you'll find us on. And until next time, this is Willy Bragg, and be sure to come back next week for another edition of the Willy Bragg Show, Saturday night feature, as it's called. And we will talk soon, and I will see you all later. Oh, and one final announcement. The Secret Show tonight, first year anniversary. Miss Jimmy from KRTD Media, Warren, they'll be celebrating their first year anniversary. So we'll go ahead and drop by their channel. It's called Extra Booyah. Just drop by their channel. It's called The Secret Show, and you can go just type in on the search engine Extra Booyah, and you should see it. And he's on the chat line here, or was on the chat line earlier. So be sure and let me do this here for you all. There we go. Right there, Extra Booyah. Just type in this on your search engine, Extra Booyah, and at midnight you should be able to get the secret show. And let me just do this here real quick because I support them. I like that show. My Saturday nights are not complete without that show. Okay, so there we go. Here we go. And when you go online and you try to find the show, this is what it's going to look like this is what it's going to look like right now. So let's see. Here we go, right there. And I'm going to try to put down here's the link. I'm going to try to put down the link. And I think this link should work. And if it doesn't work, I don't just type in Extra Booyah on the search engine. This should work. So if this doesn't work, I don't know. So hopefully this link should work right here. For some reason, it's not showing. Okay, well, anyway, I'm going to let y'all go. Y'all take it easy. I will see y'all next week. See you hopefully in less than an hour. Bye-bye.